my skin. I've got you deep in the heart of me, so deep in my heart that you really part of me. I've got you under my skin. I'm trying so not to give in. I've said to myself this affair never will go so well. So why should I try to resist what baby I know so well? I've got you under my skin. As I cross everything, come up back for the sake of having you near, in spite of the warning voice that comes from my under feet and it yells in my ear. Don't you know you fool? You don't entirely think when you come to reality. And it's time that I give you the thought of your own and you stop before I begin. 'Cause I've got you under my skin. Ooh, yes, I've got you under my skin. Oh, baby. I've got you under my skin. Yes, I've got you under my skin. Yes, I've got you under my skin. I've really got you there under my skin.
Welcome to the showcase, where great stories come from great entertainers. Interesting stories, behind the scenes fun and frolics, as well as awesome videos. Please watch, click the thumbs up and subscribe for more great content. My next guest is awesome. I've worked with this man in many places up and down the country when we both worked for Duncan Wood Entertainments. Welcome, Martin Jones.
Very nice to be here, Sean. Thanks for inviting me.
It's my pleasure, sir. I must admit, when we was on the road doing luxurious venues for Duncan, which he did, got some great venues. We had some great times, and the weddings that you've done, you've made many couples very happy with your amazing playing and your humour. You've got great humour, Martin.
Great chatting with this day, sir. Please don't stop.
So, Martin, let's start with the norm. How did you get into to tell the viewers that you're a trumpet player, or you play more brass instruments?
No, I play trumpet. I sing as well.
Yes.
And that was at school. I've been complimented on my maraca playing at the age of 13. And then they said, does anybody want to play any brass instruments? I thought, if you can play the maracas, surely the trumpet's easy. So I arrived quite late, and I brought home this battered old cornet to the sheer horror of my parents, and was consigned to the garage where I practiced middle of November on freezing nights. But thankfully, the neighbours complained, so I was then moved to the bathroom, where we found the best place for me to practice was laid in the bath. I might say with my clothes on. Presenting and welcome images to your list.
Well, we're not going to put any pictures in, Martin, that's for sure. So yeah, I've seen you sing. I've seen you singing, and you're awesome, and you've got that jazz kind of voice. It's lovely. When I used to DJ and come along and I'd DJ at the wedding, you was the guest artist, you'd do the afternoon, you'd follow the bride and groom around doing your trumpet and bashing bits and bots and all sorts, anything to make the bride and groom and the guests happy. So you started on trumpet, and you're still on trumpet.
I'm still on trumpet. Well, I still no reason. I mean, the thing is, eventually, I started to get good at it. I don't know how it happened. Something happened, and because I was going to give it up, and eventually it wanted to move to the left-hand side of my mouth, which is really bad. And I thought, well, let's just let it go there. Then I started to be able to play, and I discovered jazz. At the time, I was in all these different school orchestras and bands for whole City Youth Orchestra, Senior Youth Orchestra, concert band. But I was in the whole youth show band, led at the time by jazz legend Trevor Hickson. And I used to go around with my trumpet and sit in. And I knew very little about music. I mean, we didn't really have a music education. I just learned to play a few notes. And so I'd sit in and I'd learn to play songs, but then was very confused why it wouldn't work with another song, because I didn't realize that songs were in different keys. So I think people used to moan when I walked in with my trumpet, because they knew that I'd want to sit in, and quite often they'd throw me off stage or ban me. I was discovered I was at my uncle's pub. Thankfully, I just finished playing, because I wasn't very good at the time, with this organist, and somebody came in, and I knew he was a professional bass player, and he says, "I saw you with your band last night." So I said, "Oh, yeah, it's a good band, isn't it?" It wasn't my band at all. It was just something else. "Yeah, it's a good band." He said, "Yes, I can get you some work at the George Pub on Walton Street. It's burning down now." So I said, "Do you want to come with me?" Now, if you these days you wouldn't do it, would you? But those days, it much more naive. So I went with him, and the landlord looked down at me and said, "This is your jazz band here." They said, "I know I'm very young, but I'll lead a band of crack professionals and we'll fill your pub." And he asked me how much I wanted, so I thought the figure, because I started to get cold feet by then, and tripled it. And he said yes. I mean, it was 60 quid, but if you think we used to get 50p for playing at the old jazz club, it's a lot of money. So I went that night to another, Will Moran, who sadly passed away, a famous band leader, and I secretly asked his band members if they would join my band, because I didn't have a band. And they said, "Have you got a PA?" I said, "Well, what's one of those?" So they wrote down what I needed, and I arrived, and for some peculiar reason, it was full of bikers. So the landlord thought I'd magically filled his pub, and I played the third song, and I whispered to the trombone player, "I don't know anymore," which he felt about that thing. And he said, "Well, look, you've got a reasonably good idea. We'll play the songs, and then you learn them." So I did that. Then at one point, he said, "All trumpet players sing. This is how we're going to do it in sing." I said, "Well, I can't sing." He said, "Well, it doesn't matter. No trumpet players can really sing, but they just sing." So I said, "But I don't know any words." He said, "We'll shout the words in your ear." Shouting words in my ears, I was singing. And it was dreadful, but these bikers, that they were falling about laughing, and they came every week. And eventually I decided that if I book band leaders, then they will invite me to do gigs. And that's how I ended up being a professional trumpet player.
I thought you was a trumpet player, not a comedian.
Well, you end up being an entertainer. You know that in the industry. I mean, people pay and they want to be entertained.
Yes, they do. You're right there, yeah. So when was the first time you really got your act together and went out as a polished unit?
Right. Well, I think what happened was I joined a band called the Yorkshire Show Band, which is just like it was really doing like residencies and stuff like that. And also another band called the Gaslight Banjo Band. They're all very weird, wonderful bands. But I got the chance to do a residence. It was a summer season at the Sea Farm Cabaret Club in Thornett Bay, near Flamborough. So I gave up work 3 weeks before they went under, and I could have got paid redundancy, but never mind. So I gave up work, and I started being a professional musician, and we did that. That was 7 nights a week. And I lived in a caravan, and then we toured the northern clubs with the Gaslight Banjo Band. Then suddenly found myself playing in Paris, in the, it's an amazing story in Paris. There's two clubs. One was the Slow Club in Rue de Rivoli. The other one was the Cab de la Hachette. So the famous jazz club, everybody sees it's like it's got a well on the stage, and they were all dancing till 3 a.m. And then when we came back, on the way back, we popped into London and did this audition for this tourist chap called the City of London Tavern underneath Blackfriars Bridge. And then we got a regular gig there. I was there, residency there for a year, 6 nights a week, underneath the Blackfriars Arches, playing for lots of people. It was supposed to be a typical English pub with a Dixieland jazz band, chicken tikka masala, and darts being flying about everybody, including puncturing skin. Also.
No wonder you can afford to retire.
Why, I mean, the thing is that we were there for a year, but then, I mean, I learned to play my trumpet there, really, because I was doing 7 45-minute sets. And that's a lot of playing. So I actually learned to play them. And then they give us a stat because they realised that we were just enjoying ourselves too much. So we had some work in Paris, but then that was it. So I went to Paris. I then got a phone call and says, we want you to go back with a London band and front the London band. And so I sort of said goodbye to the Gaslight Banjo band, and they weren't very happy with the fact that there was a few death threats. But beside that, I went back and I started playing with this London band, and then ended up in working in Mayfair, just at the back of Park Lane, with a band called the English Eccentric Ragtime Four, which then, after that, I moved to New York and did some work for New York Network Television. So it went a bit mad, really.
Ah, God. So did you reside in London? You found a flat?
Well, yes, well, we found a hotel, but they didn't like us putting our washing outside the balcony.
Well, I mean, can you imagine in London walking around sightseeing, you see all the underpants?
Yes. It was in Crouch End, which is a very nice place that people all want to stay in Crouch End now. And then I shared the house with the piano player in Ilford, and then I moved it to I moved to Southend, because that was only about half an hour away from driving to the West End. But I was at the seaside, so that's so no, it's very comfortable, very nice to sort of live away. And the thing, I remember my first night in London, and I thought, this is different to Hull. I went to the feature in the park and watched my all-time hero, Ruby Braff, and he sat there in front of me playing with this band. And this lady arrived, and said, mind if it joins you? And people probably won't know her, but she's a very famous American actress called Elaine Strick. And we had this very long, nice conversation. She's very nice. She'd arrived in London, but her hotel wasn't ready. So it was just I mean, imagine a lad from Hull, a working class lad from Hull. You couldn't believe, you couldn't make it up, really.
Some great stories. So you said you went on to New York.
Yes, we kept coming to see us, where this band, I mean, the thing is, I just finished the City of London Tavern. I was trying to get work, and I'd been in touch with an agent called Billy Forrest.
Yeah, no.
And he's going to get, a bit of work. He was going to get some work on the cruises. And then he said, you need a girl singer. So I rang this female vocalist up, and she said she would do it. Just about to put the phone down. They said, by the way, you're not free this afternoon, are you? So I said, well, yes, I am. I said, well, do you fancy just going up to Mayfair? So yes, because you tell me where to go. And I arrived there, and it was an audition to play 6 nights a week. A place called Tilly Dole's Eating House. It's a theatre restaurant. And and I said, I was giving lots of music. And I said, well, if it's an audition, so we're not just go for it, and I'll try and hear it, and we'll do some kind of act. So we went out, and it was the girl singer was all dressed in the tassels and the boa constrictor, and we were all in white slacks and white shirts with their cravats. And it was all 1920s music, and this 1920s act appeared out of nowhere, and we got the job. So it's just, ring up and give it a go. It's amazing what can happen sometimes. Fortune sort of offers all kinds of opportunities if you just sort of come out and ask anybody.
Well, you can't blow your own trumpet too much, can you, Martin?
I don't know. I've never found the limit yet, Sean.
So what's been the highlight of your career?
Oh, what's been the highlight of my career? Well, I mean, the thing is, all the things that sound really cool aren't. I mean, I've worked live on television. In fact, my first live experience was on Scarborough Beach. And there's Chris Tarrant. It was the breakfast show. It was the first early breakfast show. And we're on Scarborough Beach. And the big star there was Nora Batty from Last of the Summer Wine. And I had more fun doing that. I tell you this little story of a mate. We played our little bit, which is just playing a little trad jazz piece while these rugby players were pulling this bus. The strange things to get up to for television, ridiculous. And so we just sat there, and I was watching them transfer this upright piano from this lorry onto the harbour. And I noticed with interest that all the ropes snapped, and it just fell into about 1,000 pieces. And so they're all running about, And this producer guy came to the banjo player called Tony, and they said, do you know Nelly D? And then they said, yes, we do. So all of a sudden they're bringing cameras around. They says, Tony, how does Nelly D go? And they says, I know the chords, and the trombones who I know it, and he started playing. I said, no, Stan, that's Dolly Gray. That's not Nelly D. And then Nora Batty came up, and they says, oh, we're looking forward to performing with you. I said, well, how does it go, Nelly D? And she just burst out laughing. She said, you musician, you're an absolute stream. And I turned round, and all the cameras are there, and somebody's going, and pointed at us, and we just start playing. That's the trombone player started playing Dolly Gray, and the banjo player started playing something else completely different. And I just play. Well, mine partly, but thankfully, Nora Batty sung as she had the whole chorus there, and all of a sudden we sort of merged in with their song. But it's those moments that you look back on as being utterly hilarious. When like my first night in Paris, I mean, it's the things that are the least enjoyable at the time, but when you look back, are the most enjoyable because we arrived in Paris, and I was with the banjo player, who was the son of the manager and the band leader, and the rest of them went into another taxi, and so then the taxi man asked us in French where we wanted to go. So I asked Tony where the hotel was. He says, I don't know. So and I didn't know. We knew what we were playing in the evening, but it was 2 hours. So it was a town centre, so they seemed to recognise that. They dropped us off. And so there was only one thing to do, was to get rather drunk, which we did. And I don't know how we ended up in this strange place, but it was a very official-looking part of Paris. And I was feeling rather drunk and a bit ill, and I leant against this door, and the door opened up, and I fell in, and I banged my head, and I just thought it was a cartoon. I didn't realize that you actually really did see stars, but my legs pulled in, and the door shut, and I could hear this ringing bell. I thought, oh, I really hit, but it was an actual ringing bell, and then I heard this stamping of feet, and then French security police with machine guns descended downstairs and arrested us, took us each to a different cell, and there was throwing water over us. I mean, and I was just sat there, I was complete daze. How could this be happening, you know? And I was trying to speak, and I had to get somebody in who could speak English. And eventually I was saying to them that we're playing at the Cabo de la Chette. And they said, what? And apparently it was a big fan, so he rang them up and found out that the Gaslight Banjo Black Band was there, and they were missing a trumpet player. They described, and then they were missing a banjo player. So we actually got a police escort. And eventually I walked in, and I was handed the trumpet and we started playing. Now that's a
entertainment.
day I shan't remember. Oh, I shan't forget, sorry. I shan't forget. Because that was just ridiculous. And I just love the way of playing in Paris. I was going to live there. Where you started playing at 10. It was absolutely full of people, all dancing. They called it Dans le Bebop. And we finished at 3 in the morning. And then we used to go across the way and get free pink champagne on the Scarga. And then we go around every bar with have Turkish coffee and cognac till about 6 in the morning. Then we get up and have breakfast, and we'd have a fiesta in the afternoon. Then we go out and have a meal and do it all again. Now that is living, okay? But the people who say it must be so wonderful. A lot of the time in your life as a musician is spent in the back of a transit van over in Rome. What can you see? Nothing. Oh well, where's the next city? And then the rest of the time, you're hanging about on stage, you're doing sound checks. I've probably gone on a bit. But this were my best moments of there.
That's
Certainly.
awesome. I shouldn't have asked you that.
Next time, won't you?
But you're right. I mean, the downfall for me in this job is to travel. You know, you'd go for Duncan used to say, oh, got a wedding up in Aberdeen for you. What? One night, yeah, the Cassas are there. You're on, you know, you're DJing, the Cassas are there. So you'd set off 5 hours to get to a gig, set up. you're knackered. You know, you'd open up with the DJ, get them dancing. The Casses had come on, do their bit. You got fed. You finished at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning. Off back to your digs. The Casses was all sat there supping till 4 in the morning. And then you get up for breakfast and travel home. I mean, you couldn't do that nowadays.
You could do it now. I mean, the thing is, professional musicians these days, they'll come to a gig and they bring a laptop and a bottle of water, and that's it. And I look at that, and I sort of think, yeah, I get it, but I'm also depressed at the same time. I mean, I was on tour in 1989, and there is no memory in my head at all of 1989. It has disappeared. I remember waking up in hospital at the end of it with alcoholic poisoning. And I remember the first night with Ian Gray, the agent, saying, I'm very worried about your band because you've just gone completely wild. And I kept moving around so he wouldn't see them carrying the drummer out of the back or being discovered in a skip. And I got away with it, really, until eventually I said, oh, by the way, have you got some beer vouchers for the next, what, like, it's just that was for the entire leg. And I just said, only kidding. Got away with it.
Bless his cotton socks, Ian Gray, man.
I know.
God. Well, Martin, I'm sure we could sit here all night telling stories, but we're almost coming to the end, and I want to say, what a pleasure. It's made a change for me because I ain't talked much.
Well, anytime, Sean. It's been a pleasure with me as well.
Oh, absolutely awesome. Just one quick word. What piece of advice would you give to up-and-coming musicians in this business?
Okay, well, the music business has changed completely now.
Yes.
When I was young, you end up in the band and you could perform anywhere. And if you're good and you're reliable, then you could just do it. These days, you have to be an entrepreneur. And what you have to do is learn as many skills as possible. And of course, you don't just learn to be a musician, you learn to be a content creator.
Yeah.
Presence on the web, on social media in particular, that make the difference. And what you need to be doing, you need to be working with various sites, writing music for jingles, for computer games, arranging stuff. So what you've got is got lots of bits of money coming into your account all the time. So because otherwise, come February, you won't be eating, you know.
Yeah. Words of wisdom.
Scratching around trying to get work. So I think basically just diversify, say yes to everything, and don't worry about it afterwards.
You're right there. Words of wisdom. Martin Jones, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on my showcase. Let's do another one next year with some more great memories.
That'd be great. Thanks very much indeed, Sean.
Right, wait.